So if you can start by saying and spelling your name for me.
Tony Ducker, Tonyducker, 7th
Perfect.
Mayor, City of Petal.
All right. I'm going to have a voice recording too, just to be safe. So I'll go ahead and ask you straight off the bat, what are, in your opinion, the top 5 things that you're looking forward for in the state legislative session?
It's very important. The City of Petal's kind of moved into a space that we've typically not occupied, and that's to make sure, even if the layers of government above us can't help us, that they would actually know what we're up to. That's the county, that's the state, and the federal government. So we make trips and try to have dialogue with them on the things that we've got happening. First 4 years, first term, real heavy on sewer. We are looking to do some water projects, things of that nature. There are some low interest loans that we're looking at on the state level that has federal backing and the potential for some forgiveness, some debt forgiveness. So those things are very important to us. Those are obviously programs at the state and federal level that we would like to see continue. So very important. We've got an old infrastructure for so many years. Local governments just didn't want to raise the price of water and sewer, and basically some of those, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, the chickens have come home to roost. So we know we're not going to be able to fix everything, so we're going to do our level best to make it better for the next group when they come through.
Okay. Well, to kind of jump into that, talking about, I'll say, I guess, aside from the water, if you had any notable maybe improvements or concerns within the city this year?
One of the biggest things that we've been focused on is we have over 60 lift stations, sewer lift stations, and basically if you're dealing with gravity, so if you've got to pump sewer or wastewater uphill, you get a lift station situation, so it's not ideal. The best thing would be gravity, but obviously there's different elevations throughout town, and it's been a patchwork system to begin with. The biggest project we've got going on is our very last lift station we call it the Katrina lift station due to Hurricane Katrina, and they staged a lot of equipment in this area. It's the last lift station, our biggest lift station, before our wastewater goes over to Hattiesburg. A lot of folks don't know that. We pump around 1 million gallons of wastewater over to the city of Hattiesburg, and they act more as a regional facility. And this was part of a 1980s deal that the two cities came up with, and we pay them to treat our wastewater. It's been very beneficial, but obviously those systems are very old as well. We've got one pipe under the river, so we are focused on trying to get 2 pipes so there would be some redundancy in the system. We so far have Congressman Ezel's been very great to work with. Senators Hyde-Smith and Senator Wicker have been fantastic. Matter of fact, Congressman Ezel has us on a list to get around $1.75 million. We've gotten another $500,000 from the state legislature. So when the session opens up, we've already had conversations with our delegation, and we would like to get some more resources to be able to get that further down the road. Around a $5.2 million project when it's all said and done. That'll probably be our biggest focus when it all is said and done. Some other things are debt, loan, forgiveness, things of that nature that we'll be looking at. Obviously, school choice is a big thing. So we've got an A-rated school here, one of the top 5 school systems in the state of Mississippi. So we'll be watching that with a very watchful eye.
Okay. Well, on the topic of school choice and also just kind of like general population, I've heard from a couple of other mayors that Mississippi's been growing very rapidly.
Yeah.
So have you guys seen a big like population increase or people moving in from the past year?
We've been growing, so that's a good thing. Some of these conversations that we have, because you can call some mayors and they're stepping back from a sales tax, property tax. So it's harder to make those the things that you need to get done. You got to pay first responders. You've got to do water and sewer projects. Everybody expects your recreation to be top notch these days. So we've got a path forward when it comes to that. It actually puts a little more pressure on you when it's all said and done. Because now, when we didn't have a lot of resources, you could say, well, we just don't have the money for that. Now, with a few more resources, they expect things, and I think that's a big thing. A lot of folks. What aggravates them most about taxes is they don't see it at work. And that's one of the things that we've endeavored to see through to the end. So you've seen paving, you've seen water, you've seen sewer, you've seen an expansion in our recreation department. So I hope folks do see that they're getting a value for their dollars. Government's typically inefficient, so we've tried to curb some of that as well.
Gotcha. So to go into taxes, I know last year when we worked on the same project, actually, another reporter did. I want to say you guys introduced, it was an internet sales tax that you guys introduced?
A 3% restaurant hotel tax. We don't have any hotels, but we do have some Airbnb that participates in that. That's been around 4 years in the works. Been a game changer when it's all said and done. It allows us to get some things that we normally wouldn't on the recreation side, refurbish some things like parks, sidewalk projects, trail projects. It's been a game changer from that standpoint. We had went several times before. I was an alderman for 12 years, and we had at least 2 different situations where we were going to have massive cuts to our recreation department. This makes sure we have commitments over there. Still trying to be efficient with it, still trying to stretch it, but it also allows you to go in, and we've got an entrance to our ball complex that is actually currently being built. And talking about working with your legislature, $500,000 of that project came from Representative Larry Byrd with state resources. And it's really one of those things like, if they cut it out everywhere, cut a lot of the stuff that comes through, flows through the federal and state offices, that's fine and dandy. But if there's going to be monies out there, we want those entities to know that we've got needs as well. So if it's got to go somewhere, I'd like it to come to Petal.
Right. Okay. Well, on the topic of finances, are there any kind of like grants that you guys are looking into for Petal for other projects, or anything that you guys have been looking into trying to get into bringing into Petal?
The state legislature just passed a few years ago we call it the MOST grant. It's an outdoor stewardship grant. We've just put in for some work down at our Petal River Park. And we were actually the recipient 2 years ago of this grant that's actually going to allow us to finish off our Matthews Branch project. So very important that we do that. We've got another sidewalk project. They call it a TAP grant, Transportation Alternative Program with MDOT that would actually connect our park that's behind City Hall to West 10th and Matthews Branch. And the idea is that from a connectivity standpoint, now I can actually get at our ball field complex, our YMCA, hop on a bicycle, and actually end up in Hattiesburg and beyond.
Okay, awesome. Well, to go into, because a lot of this has been about, recreational and stuff for the community, how has the community reacted, if at all, to kind of the stuff that you guys have been kind of working on between the water and the recreational parks and things like that? Have you seen that reaction within the community? Well,
this day and age with social media, so you see a lot. So obviously it's good because you get some feedback, and sometimes it's instantaneously. You're getting this feedback, and then you can respond to it as well. Reach out to them privately, say some comments on social media. I think that's important. I think it's been well received for us to have, for anybody to know that whatever we're doing, we're not just trying to focus in on one thing. We're paving roads, we're doing infrastructure, we're also doing recreation department, but at the same time, we've increased and become a lot more competitive with our first responder pay. So I think that's been important as well. I didn't ever want to come and sit in this chair and say that this is the one thing we got right. I want to try to make everything better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. Let's see. So aside from, talking about the water systems and the infrastructure there, are there any other, notable concerns that you guys are looking into getting fixed? I know you're talking about sidewalks and other projects like that. Maybe with housing, I know you said you guys have the best school district right now.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you guys are kind of looking into after the first 2 major things get talked about?
We have done some partnerships with the school as far as recreation, and that somewhat has been a theme for us. And a lot of times, elected officials, and we're not, it happens on our level as well, folks will go out and you'll repave a road and have a disregard for what's up under it. I know it's not quite as sexy to go out and say, hey, we're fixing to do this sewer project or that sewer project, and they're very inconvenient. I'm fixed to come and tear your road up for the next 9 months. Nobody really wants to hear that. But at the end of the day, some of those things have to be done. And I think that's going to be important if we're going to win going forward, to make sure we're right-sized from an employee standpoint. Do we have enough firemen? Do we have the right amount of police officers? The right amount of folks working here at City Hall, building department? So we still got a lot of work to do. So hopefully, we just started our second term. So hopefully at the end of 4 years, we'll be able to see an improvement from where we were 4 years ago.
Okay. Well, I know we've kind of already touched on, getting, resources and funds from the state to kind of help fund all this stuff. But is there anything else that you think that the state could offer that you could get from them, from this legislative session that might help alleviate any kind of issues or potential concerns coming up?
The state on their side, from the reports that I see, seems like they're doing really well, which is really great for us. Some of that stuff kind of filters down to us, because if the state's doing well, that means the cities are doing well. That means the counties are doing well. I think that's the big takeaway when I look at all of the numbers. One of the game changers for us is the internet sales tax, what we call it, the internet sales tax. They have another little name for it, but it's around $1 million with us. That has to be used on infrastructure. It can't be to build a new road, but you can repave a road or you can redo a water line. And that's kind of been a game changer, so to speak. We've got several little things that you're always waiting for a break. Now you start saying, well, if I go and borrow $5 million for a water project, how do I pay it back? Well, now I've got some resources from the state, and basically that was designed that they understood that the cities were losing sales tax numbers because folks were going maybe to Walmart.com as opposed to just Walmart. So they come up with a formula, and that's been very beneficial. So sometimes the legislature starts talking about things and everybody gets nervous, but honestly, they've really delved into some things that have been the game changers to us. I hope and expect some of that stuff to continue, but that's been very beneficial. If there's extra money, it should be given to the taxpayer any which way you can give it to them. You're seeing that with the grocery tax. The internet sales tax stuff is another way they can do that. Give it to these communities, even tell them how they can use it, and start improving and attacking some of our problems that are happening at the local level.
Okay, yeah. So to kind of stay on taxes really quick, talking about the internet sales tax, just kind of over the course of the year, have you guys had any increases or decreases with taxes for citizens, or like have you guys' mills went up or anything like that over the past year?
It's been since around 07, 08 was the last time that we raised millage on the city level. I think we're doing it the old-fashioned way. We've got more money coming in, but it's due to growth as opposed to us going up on taxes. I think we're taxed high enough as it is. So I think, and I always say I'm a 99.9%er, that I do leave that little 0.01% that somebody could come to me and say, here's the deal, if you'll go up a couple mills, this is what'll happen. It'll be so great that I'll even have to admit that we need to do it. But in general, we need to be efficient with the tax dollars we get. We have to understand it's a marathon, that we're not going to get all this stuff done tomorrow, and that we need to be looking out 2, 3, 4, and 5 years down the road to make sure that we're ready for the opportunity that's, I think, here now to some extent. I mean, we're growing, the money's coming in, and we just need to have in the back of our mind that it's okay to say no, and no doesn't necessarily mean no. It may mean not now. I get a lot of good ideas that come into us, so you could say, well, that's a fantastic idea, but that's probably 3 or 4 years from now before we could tackle something like that.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see. Is there anything just as of right now that I haven't mentioned or asked that you think I should have?
No, very good. I mean, I think in my mind, it's always about coordination and communication. So the county, we pay county taxes, we pay state taxes, our folks in Petal do. So those folks should know what we're up to. A lot of folks know that, even up in Washington, D.C., know that we're trying to do something with, get 2 pipes under the river. So that's an important push for us. And after we tackle that, there'll be a next. So we have trouble moving people around. There's a couple hot spots from a traffic standpoint, and we'll organize and get some of those things together as we go. But I think the big thing for us is try to access grants and making sure we can pay, because a lot of times they're 80-20. We got to come up with the 20%. You can 20% yourself to death if you don't at least have that money. That's why the growth is important. Shop Petal First is this coming weekend. It's very important we get sales tax dollars. That's how we pay our police officers. That's how we pay our fire department. So it's very important that when you have those opportunities to shop here, if you're going to, I always say, if you go to Gulf Shores, buy your Coca-Colas here. Gulf Shores is fine with their taxes. They're going to make plenty of money every summer. Just buy your stuff here, take it down there. You won't have to fight the traffic and the hassle of getting in and out of their stores. You'll have it already heading down there. So Shop Petal First, doing that this weekend. That's a big thing for us. So it's like any other business. You're always going to have change, so just be ready to adapt as well. But that's been one of the good things, growth.
Okay. Trying to think. Is there anything that y'all want to ask that I haven't asked yet? Can you think of anything?
Nothing really.
I think that's about it. There was one question that Sam wanted me to ask. I say you can cut the camera if you want.
Okay.
But